Former Prime Minister Imran Khan's statement. On his X account today. Message from Adiala jail. Pakistan today is passing through one of its darkest phases, where there is a complete collapse of law and order and brute force is being used unabated to destroy the very foundations of democracy, constitution, and rule of law. Judiciary is being enslaved with the executive being given powers well beyond its constitutional entitlement, thus gravely impacting the structure of trichotomy of power. Nobody is safe from the fascism prevalent today. Legislators, their businesses, their properties, their families, even women and children are under assault. Azam Swati, Khawaja Shiraz, Intizar Panjotha have all been abducted and tortured. All established red lines have been fractured with total disregard for human rights. In the wake of the 26th constitutional amendment, the silence of the legal fraternity is disturbing. Today, the situation is much worse than ever before in the past. Judiciary's independence has been brutally assaulted, and judges turned into dispensable commodities. This must be resisted with the full vigor and faith by the legal community as, otherwise, they will forever remain buried under the unwieldy weight of oppression and tyranny. The criminal mafias that have been illegally hoisted in positions of power have their properties, businesses and families abroad. They come back only to unleash a rain of plunder to fly off to their safe havens, waiting for their next turn. They were defeated in the February 8 elections, but the results were stolen in the darkness of night. This blighted night has continued to get darker with the passage of time. I have been subjected to solitary confinement and torture in a dark cell by those who control Adiala. My Lahore house was raided when my wife was alone. My sisters and other relatives have been mercilessly targeted. I have not been allowed to speak to my children and denied all rights that the Constitution grants me. With the establishment in command, the distance between the armed forces and the people is widening. Army being an indispensable public asset must be responsive to the will of the people. We can't afford to sacrifice the reputation of the institution to satiate the lust for power of an individual or a coterie of a few. That would be tragic as it would cause irreparable damage to the reputation of the institution. Our struggle is not against the institution of the military. We are fighting for democracy, independence of judiciary and restoration of the Constitution. The fight is for the rights of the people. We are fighting for confining institutional operations within the domain of the Constitution. We are fighting for restoring people their freedoms so that they could lead Pakistan to become a formidable country. No outside force will help us. We must do it ourselves. We must regain our freedom, our dignity and self-respect. Loss of these values renders human life meaningless. What we do now will determine the future of Pakistan and that of its coming generations. This can be done only if the stolen mandate of February 8 is restored to the people of Pakistan and those whom they selected as their leaders. The governments installed on the basis of a stolen mandate or lack legitimacy and relevance. They cannot provide the country the leadership it desperately needs to tide over unprecedented difficult times. It is time for people to step out to reclaim their mandate. PTI is the largest political party of the country. We have the people's trust. We must not fail them. This is the time to launch a peaceful movement for the restoration of the Constitution, democracy and rule of law. I call upon all segments of the society to play their role. I especially urge my ticket holders to join the movement. In the Swabi rally, we will put our next course of action in front of the nation. The target of our protest is not an institution. Our goal of restoring democracy and constitution in the country and the judiciary. Freedom. The army is not of any one person or party but the whole of Pakistan. The army is our national asset. The entire army is being defamed to protect a 10-year rule of a party and a person. In this way, the people and the army are being brought to each other. On March 20, 1971, I was in Dhaka. People were demanding their rights there. 4 days later, a military operation was launched in Dhaka. If you take guns on the people who are demanding their rights, it is what happened to East Pakistan. In Baluchistan and the tribal areas, the excuse for the presence of missing persons used to give General Bajwa that the courts release these persons, which is why they have to be forcibly lost. Chief Minister Baluchistan also once pointed out that such measures create hatred against the army. Now that the repression and philosophy is being blamed against the supporters and leaders of the PTI, the hatred against the entire institution is increasing every day. The agencies have seen the behavior of PTI leaders Shahbaz Gil, Azam Swati, Khawaja Shiraz and Barrister Intizar Panjotha by the whole of Pakistan. My question to my lawyers community is that you have launched a nationwide lawyers movement against Musharraf's oppression. Today, this period is worse than Musharraf's time. PTI members are being abducted and their families are being threatened. As their homes are being broken and oppressed and harassed, what is your role in the way that the judiciary is being attacked? You should all go out and protest against this atrocity. I have a special message to all members of my own party, ticket holders and officials that you all have to participate fully in this protest, and those who do not participate in this movement will not get a party ticket in the next election. You all have to stand up against these constitutional amendments and the ongoing oppression and fascism in the country. Hopefully, with the arrival of President Trump, things will lead to neutrality. I will demand my release or no deal. Even before, no dictator or world power had come to the shoulders. I also voted for me, and despite being in the worst sanctions and in jail, the people gave a 2/3 majority. Still, instead of relying on external forces to improve the situation in Pakistan, the nation will have to try itself. As General Bajwa lobbied against me through Hussein Haqqani and the Biden administration's ears, and the Biden administration was silent on human rights violations in Pakistan, it is hoped that it will not happen. There was good relations with President Trump. President Trump honored my visit to the White House as Prime Minister. During Corona, he sent a timely testing machine to Pakistan. On my request, he mentioned Kashmir, which was never done by any U.S. president before. Quote. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan talks with lawyers and journalists in Adiala jail. The results of the U.S. election and the continuous global pressure on Pakistan are a factor that no one can ignore. This government has been badly trapped by its decisions and poor strategies. The finance minister has admitted that no country is giving money or no one is giving time for the repayment of old loans. Now the government has two ways. 1. The government should make unpopular decisions as before and bring the mini budget and bury the rest of its children. Shahbaz Sharif and company is ready while Nawaz Sharif is already against it. The clear evidence of this is the budget deficit of the Punjab government. 2. The government has somehow achieved political evidence and put the debris on someone else and try to postpone the elections as the position to go to the public is not at all.